Permanently migrating to Australia is a dream of many people. The number one question that we get asked all the time is, which visa should I apply for to get permanent residency in Australia? You may be surprised to know that there are many visa options available to become a permanent resident. However, there is no one fit for all. Everybody's visa pathway is different. That is why it is important to get it right from the start and know which pathway is best for you. If you are looking to gain permanent residency in Australia, then this video is for you. G'day, I'm Josh, Registered Migration Agent with Immigration Gurus, and welcome back to our YouTube channel. If you are new here, make sure you click that subscribe button to keep up to date with everything you need to know about Australian visas. In today's video, we're going to talk about the 3 most common pathways to gain permanent residency in Australia. Those 3 are skilled migration, employer-sponsored migration, and partner migration. Today, we will discuss each pathway, including which visa to apply for, the requirements you need, and give you some tips and tricks on what you need to look for. In our next couple of videos, we'll focus on each visa separately and give you a more detailed explanation on how to apply for the visa that suits you best. First up is the general skilled migration pathway. This includes the 189, 190, and 491 visas. These programs aim to meet Australia's skills shortages and give successful applicants the chance to become a permanent resident. The 189, 190 and 491 visas have a few things in common. You need to have an occupation on one of the skilled occupation lists. They are a points tested visa. You'll need to be invited to apply for one of these visas after you've submitted an EOI or expression of interest. To get an invitation from the Department of Home Affairs, you'll need to submit an expression of interest or an EOI, have a positive skills assessment by a relevant Australian skills assessing authority, have at least a minimum point score of 65 points. The Skilled Independent 189 visa aims to attract migrants with qualifications and professional experience in occupations that are critical to the Australian job market and economy. The 189 visa provides the applicant and their family unit with permanent residency rights from the moment the visa is granted and does not require any form of sponsorship. For the 189 visa, the most important thing to know is that you do not need to be sponsored by an employer, family member, or state or territory government agency. You will, however, need to have an occupation on the relevant skilled occupation list. That's the medium to long-term list. Have a positive skills assessment, have sufficient points from the points calculator, and have been invited to apply for this visa. With direct PR and no requirement for sponsorship, the 189 visa is the most sought after option. However, there are limited spaces. Only 6,500 for 2021 financial year has been allocated, and therefore it is highly competitive. To highlight this, in the last invitation round, that was in July, only 250 invitations were provided with a minimum score of 80 points. With the 189 difficult to get, a good alternative is the 190. The skilled nominated visa 190 is another points tested visa and offers a permanent visa pathway. The 190 visa follows the same steps as the skilled independent 189, however, it has an additional step of obtaining state or territory nomination. The benefit of the 190 stream is a wider range of potential eligible occupations and additional points provided by the state to boost up your points calculation. So more occupations and more points for the 190. To get nominated, you will have to submit an expression of interest with Skill Select, and when submitting your EOI, you must indicate the state or territories that you want to consider for nomination. With the 190 visa, you'll also need to meet the nomination criteria for each state. Keeping in mind that all state and territory government agencies have their own criteria for deciding who they will nominate. If your calculated points are still falling short with the 190 program, you may wish to look at the 491 as an option. The 491 Skilled Work Regional Visa is very similar to the 190 visa in the sense that you'll also have to be invited and nominated before you can apply for the visa. What makes the 491 visa different from the rest is that it is a temporary visa which lets you stay in Australia for up to 5 years. You must live and work in a designated regional area of Australia, and you do not become a permanent resident straight away. To get permanent residency, you will need to have worked and lived in a regional area for 3 years, and then you can apply for the 191 permanent residency. That's the skilled regional visa. The benefit of the 491 program, however, is an additional 15 points from the state and potentially more occupations available than the 190 program. For a more detailed look at the GSM program, check out our other video. Unfortunately, with the highly competitive nature and limited allocation of the GSM programs, selection is not guaranteed. Therefore, it is always recommended to consider your employer-sponsored options. And this brings us to PR option number 2. The employer-sponsored migration pathways comes in various forms, more specifically the 482, 186 and 494 visas. As you'll see, some of these visas will give you the option to get permanent residency straight away, while for other visas, you'll have to work your way through different stages before you can become a permanent resident. I'll briefly mention the highlights of each of these visas and give you a more detailed explanation in the next videos to come. The 482 Temporary Skilled Shortage TSS visa is a temporary visa that lets Australian businesses sponsor an experienced, skilled overseas worker for a position that they have been unable to fill with an Australian worker. The length of your stay will vary and can be up to 2 or 4 years, and that depends on your occupation or if you've been nominated under a labour agreement. With the 482, not all streams or occupations will lead to PR. If you are nominated in an occupation which is on the medium to long-term list, then you'll be eligible for transition to PR using the 186 program. Another way to transition to PR with an occupation which is not on the medium to long-term list is by being sponsored under a labour agreement, such as a DAMA. For more information on DAMAs, check out our other video. If your occupation is on the medium to long-term list, then you could be sponsored by your employer using the 186 Employer Nomination Scheme. This is direct PR. The 186 has 3 different streams. Direct entry. This stream will grant you permanent residency straight away if you're qualified and have sufficient experience in an eligible occupation. The transition stream, as previously mentioned, the 186 transition stream is for anyone who is on a 482 visa and has worked for the nominated employer for 3 years if they're in their correct occupation list. And the labour agreement stream for people who are sponsored under a labour agreement such as a DAMA or industry specific agreement. Again, for the 186 visa, you must have an occupation on the medium to long-term skilled occupation list or have access to transition through a labour agreement and be sponsored by an approved Australian business. The main differentiating factor between why you would choose between a 482 or a 186 is if you have a high enough English score, sufficient employment experience, and if you've been able to get a skills assessment. If you don't have competent English, a valid skills assessment, and you only have 2 years of relevant experience, the 482 is right for you. If you can get all 3, then the 186 direct entry is your PR option. The difficulty with the 186 is the limited occupation list. If your job is not on the medium to long-term list, then the 494 skilled employer sponsored regional visa may be the option for you. The 494 skilled employer sponsored regional visa is a temporary visa that lets regional Australian businesses suffering from labour shortages sponsor an experienced skilled overseas worker where employers cannot source an appropriately skilled Australian worker. With the 494 visa, you can live and work in a designated regional area of Australia for up to 5 years, with the option to apply for permanent residency using the 191 pathway visa. after 3 years if you are eligible. This is a regional focused visa, so only available outside of major capital cities. To make this process as easy and smooth as possible, we advise you to first check if you have any occupation on any of the lists. To do this, simply search the combined occupation list on the IMI website. Keeping in mind though that the list on the IMI website does not include occupations which are available under various DARMAs and industry labour agreements. Check which visa you would be eligible for depending on your occupation. Then check with the region or state where you can use this occupation and what type of visa is available. Make sure to check the eligibility and application process for the region as well, because every region has a different requirement. Don't be disheartened if you don't think you meet any of the above. Keep in mind that you may not meet any of the entry criteria for the above programs yet. However, with good planning and guidance, you could become eligible for any of the above programs. You could start with a student visa and plan your pathway all the way through to permanent residency. The third and final popular PR option is partner migration pathway. For the partner visa, there are 3 different options. That is the onshore 820-801 partner visa, the offshore 309/100 partner visa, or the 300 prospective marriage visa. If you are in a relationship with an Australian citizen, permanent resident, or an eligible New Zealand citizen, then one of these options may be your best solution. To choose which one best suits you will depend if you are onshore or offshore, if you are onshore what type of visa you hold, and the status and length of your relationship, and also what your future plans and intentions are. Now that you've had a bit of an idea of the different kinds of visas that could get you permanent residency, it is important to find the right one for you. We'll cover each visa and its requirements in more videos to come. We'll also give you some quick tips and tricks on how you can make your migration process quicker and easier, so make sure you do subscribe to get this valuable information. If you think that you might be eligible for one of the visas that we've discussed before, or if you have any questions at all, please leave a comment below or get in touch with one of our team members. I'm Josh from Immigration Gurus. Until next time, have a great week.